All right, welcome everyone to our call this afternoon with Chris Stoll. Since there's only a few of you in here, we'll just kind of go around the room. So I'll call on you to unmute. We'll start with Rich Scarcella.
Thanks, Paul. Hey, Chris, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, of course.
Um, when was the first time that you were a snapper? Midgets?
Uh,
Pee
Here
wee?
at
Or
Penn State or just in general?
I'm sorry, can you say that? Oh,
Here at Penn State or like in general?
no, in general.
My sophomore year of high school was the first time I snapped.
Did you express interest in doing it, or did a coach ask you to do it? And how quickly did the bug bite you?
Yeah, so my sophomore year, just trying to get some time on varsity. Our current senior snapper at the time did
Mhm.
not do so well during camp, and everyone was just kind of like, "Hey, does anybody know how to long snap?" And I was like, "I don't know how, but I'll give it a shot."
Uh-huh.
Kind of found my niche there, and slowly, fell in love with it, and all the little tweaks that you can make that just can improve your snapping exponentially. So that's really when I fell in love with it.
Daniel Gallen.
What's it like to think about that kind of, I guess those dominoes falling, as a sophomore in high school to end up here, I guess, like 8 or 9 years later, to be a scholarship athlete, to be at a Big Ten program. What's it like to kind of, I guess, trace that journey?
Yeah, I've been incredibly blessed. Did not think I would end up playing football somewhere. I grew up loving hockey and lacrosse. Kind of thought I would go somewhere to do that or just, go be a regular college student. But when the opportunity started to present itself my junior and senior year of high school, I just tried to, take it one snap at a time. It's all I can do. Thoroughly, I've enjoyed it. Through I guess you're right, like 8 years since I've been here so long. But really loved all of it, and you know, I enjoy snapping every day, even at this point.
Joe Smeltzer.
Hey Chris, thanks for the time. I like your glasses, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll put mine on too. So this game, obviously it's land grant week. It's a rivalry game. I've asked a few people about what they think of the land grant trophy. Sean called it the most beautiful block of wood he's ever seen. Jair really likes it. Jonathan Sutherland isn't as big on the design, but he definitely loved to win it, as you guys all would. So, as somebody that's been around for a few Michigan State games, what are your thoughts on the land grant trophy, specifically from just a design and aesthetic standpoint, I guess?
I think Sean said it best. It's the most beautiful block of wood I've ever seen. Um, Obviously, we wanted to get it back in our building, and that's our main goal, just to go 1-0 and bring it back to State College.
Spencer Ripchick.
Hey Chris, what differences and similarities do you see between Barney and Jordan Stout?
Yeah, I think the main thing is their preparation and their process that they do all throughout the week. Their Mondays routine, Tuesday routine, etc. They all go about it in a business-like manner. Obviously, Jordan's doing very well at the professional level right now, and he learned a little bit of that from Blake Gillikin, who's doing incredibly well in the NFL right now as well. So I would just say his mental fortitude, his preparation. As a specialist, we have one bad snap, one bad kick. It has to be, next play mentality. We don't get the luxury of having first, second, and third down. We're a one down unit. So I think just his mental fortitude, his process, that's the similarities that I see.
Rich Scarcella.
Chris, you said when you first started doing this that you fell in love with it, and realizing that it could be a really thankless job. What is it that you love about being a snapper? Is it, I mean, because you don't really get much attention unless you screw up.
Yeah, it's kind of what comes with the job. Nobody should know who I am. That would be ideal. Um, but I love being a part of the special teams unit. I love being part of a team. Thoroughly have enjoyed all of my teammates here throughout the years, made countless friends for life. In regards to just the snapper position specifically, I love it. It's just a little niche. There's some people who can do it, like Sean snapped in high school, and it's just a different beast when you go and you have to snap backed up in your own end zone against Ohio State. There's not many people who can do that. So just kind of the specialty position, as I could say, is why I fell in love with it, and building that confidence up from when I started 8 years ago till all the way till now.
Daniel Gallen.
Earlier this afternoon, James mentioned you as someone who talks to the team a lot, and that addresses the team a lot. I was just curious how you kind of ended up in that role, what it's like to talk to the team, and I guess what in those situations, what are you normally sharing or talking about?
Yeah, so when I talk to the team, it's more of a as a specialist, and especially as a captain, as a specialist, we have a certain role that we have to adhere to. So that would mean like we can't be the rah guy. Obviously, Sean has been awesome at that throughout the 4 years that he's been a captain. But as a specialist, we're kind of the guy who picks people up, gives words of encouragement. I always come in with a smile on my face, just to know that I'm the same person every day, and preach that to other people, because that's a powerful thing to come into work the same every day, be the same person. And so that's really just kind of what I speak to the team, is just being the same person every day, having a positive attitude, which is one of our core values, and just going about practice every single day the right way.
Joe Smeltzer.
Chris, has it kind of set in yet that Saturday is going to be your last game in Beaver Stadium? And if it hasn't hit you, when do you expect it to?
Oh, it's hit me. It's going to be bittersweet. Obviously, playing here for so long and being at Penn State for so long, it's really felt like my second home. And going out one more time in Beaver Stadium, being able to celebrate out there with my family for senior day and all my buddies, it's definitely bittersweet. I haven't got emotional about it yet, but I will. And just going to try to enjoy every last part of it, and go 1-0.
Spencer Ripchick.
Hey, Chris, what is one challenge that the average person doesn't know about when it comes to long snapping?
One challenge, I would say, being able to snap consistently over the course of an entire year. That includes weather, that includes conditions, anything. I mean, for field goal snaps, if I don't hit Barney's hand as a holder, then that means my laces could be at a quarter turn, whatever it may be, and that affects the whole entire field goal operation. So there's just little details that matter, even more on an exponential level, because I only have one play, and then the defense comes out or the offense comes out, we kick the ball off. But it's just that consistency that I don't think people would understand, because if you have a good snapper, you should know his name. And as soon as somebody has a bad snap, everyone's like, "Who's that guy? Well, what is he doing? Why can't he do his job?" So just little things like that.
Rich Carcella.
Chris, this is all kind of it's going to sound like 3 or 4 different questions, but it's not. How did you end up at Penn State? Did you have any other offers? And if somebody asked you this week, next week, how did your career go at Penn State, your time at Penn State, what would you tell them?
Yeah, so how I got my offer, I went to the specials camp my junior year of high school, performed well at the camp. Then, got the privilege to walk up to Coach Rankin's office and shake his hand. And my dad was there with me, and he gave me my preferred walk-on offer. That was my only offer. What was the next part of the question?
If somebody asked you this week or next week, how would you describe your almost 6 years at Penn State? What would you tell them?
Yeah. Obviously, the important thing is going 1-0. The season's not over yet, and we have an opportunity to have another successful season. I think the one thing that I would want people to kind of remember by is just my consistency. Um, Not only as a person coming in the building every day, but what I've done in the classroom, earning my degree, um, on the field, you know, um, not being known pretty much. I shouldn't be known in the community around me, but my teammates should know who I am and who I was about.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Have you ever been noticed on campus?
Um, no, not that I can remember.
Daniel Gallen.
Chris, when everything is done at Penn State, do you plan to try to make it in the NFL as a long snapper?
Um, you're gonna hate this, but I'm focused on Michigan State and being 1-0 right now.
Well, if I could take another question then. Second. James talked about team captain going out to the coin toss, and he said that you're the one that's out there and you're every week because you're the one that's talking to the official to make sure that everything is, what James wants it to be. What's it like to have that responsibility every week as a specialist, and how did that kind of come up, during the preseason and planning for this year?
Yeah, it's been a huge honor, and honestly super cool just to speak, out loud. But how it kind of came about was it was right before the Purdue game, and he was just like, "Hey, I want you to be the speaking captain." I'm like, "Okay, what does that mean?" He's like, "I'll tell you what to say." I'm like, "Okay, beautiful." I was a little nervous, and I think I've won only one coin toss, so tails has not been favorable to me. But hopefully, my luck continues to get better. But yeah, it's been super cool, such a huge honor for me, and couldn't be more excited about it.
Joe Smeltzer.
Yeah, Chris, if you could tell your younger self one thing, what would that be? What would that be?
Lay off the Oreos. Um, I didn't get my diet in check until probably my sophomore year. And if I would have checked myself in a little bit more and taken it a little bit more seriously earlier on in my career, I think I would have had more success early on. So that's probably the main thing.
Spencer Ripchick.
I'm kind of gonna piggyback off of Daniel's question. Have you ever messed up a coin toss, and what's your best coin toss experience?
I haven't messed up a coin toss because I know Coach Franklin would be um, speaking very kindly to me. Um, but probably the coolest one was Ohio State, being from Ohio, um, walking out there and seeing all the fireworks. That was a super cool experience. And then walking up to the coin toss, they called it and they lost, so technically I won. I'll take that. I'll take that as a W. So that was probably my favorite moment of the coin toss.
We'll do one more round of questions. Rich Scarcella.
All right, another two-parter since it's my last chance. One, what are you most proud about of all the things that you've done, you know, at Penn State? And secondly, why is sleep one of your hobbies?
That's funny. What I'm most proud about is being elected a captain for my peers. That was a tremendous honor that I will never forget. And being able to call my mom in Coach Franklin's office, that was a memory I won't forget. As for the hobbies, I don't know if they've updated that since my freshman year. So at the time, sleep was one of my hobbies. Now it's golf and hanging out with my girlfriend, just spending time with the people that I love.
Daniel Gallen.
Chris, you talked about never being noticed on campus. We've seen the videos of Barney going around campus, seeing if people recognize him. Just what's it like having his personality like that in the room? I know that he hasn't been here that long, but how did he kind of come in and I guess let that personality really come out in that way?
Yeah, he was maybe shy for a couple days, and then it came right out. He's a joy to be around. Um, Always talking, always hyping people up. Loves to call out our strength coach, Coach Earls, for not being loud enough. It's just little things like that that people gravitate towards him, and he's a joy to be around.
Joe Smeltzer.
Chris, you mentioned you've gotten into golf. How did that hobby kind of start, and how is your golf game?
Yeah, so my dad tried to get me into golf in high school. Um, I was really bad, so I didn't get into it right away. But then when I moved here for my freshman year, a couple other my classmates were getting into it. I was just like, you know what, why not? Penn State Blue White course has a good deal for students, and started playing pretty much all summer, every summer since I've been here. Because we have, one class a day and workouts for 2 hours, and the rest of the day is free. I have gotten fairly good from where I started. I broke 80 for the first time about 3 weeks ago, so hoping to continue to get better at that in the off season. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy it. It helps because I have a hockey background since I've skated since I was 3, so it helps with my hand-eye coordination a little bit. But love to play in the summer when I have some free time.
Spencer Ripchick.
So there's not too many stats as a long snapper. I mean, you could look at punting averages or stuff like that. But what stat would you say you're the most proud about over your span of your career?
I think the only stat I have is tackles. I don't think they record, perfect snaps on, the ESPN app. But I had a couple tackles my first year starting, which was my redshirt sophomore year. Hoping to get a couple more, but that's probably what I'm most proud of.